Let's see. Micah chapter 1. The word of the Ishi came to Micheas, the Moathite, in the days of Jonathan, Achaz, and Echeas, king of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria, right, and Jerusalem. Here, which I thought was interesting, right? Because I thought, man, why do they have us mispronouncing that? Like, Samari sounds like it's a Spanish term, right? And I thought it was interesting too. There was this is people that settled in Indiana, Michigan, and what was the other place? Oh, West Virginia. They seen something, right, that reminded them of the real place, right, where this would be, because they all came to these places and named these places after that over here. I thought that was interesting because it almost gives you like a radius that from Indiana to Michigan to West Virginia, a plant or something grows or lives here to these places that reminded them of that. But moving on, hear all ye people, let the earth give ear, and all that is therein, and let the Ishi Eloha be a witness to you, the Ishi from his holy temple. So, and he says this is going to happen. Will happen. He's saying he's the witness that this will happen, right? For behold, the Ishi will come forth out of his place. And that reminds me because of what's that place down there? Zechariah, the book of Zechariah, chapter 9. I can't remember which verse. I think it's 21 or 26, but he says that the day will come where he's going to come out of the south, right? And he will come as a whirlwind, which we know that's a hurricane, right? It only because he's telling you which direction he comes out of, right? Tornadoes, they can pop up anywhere. It doesn't matter where, right? They could pop up in Pennsylvania, Kansas, you name it, But for it specifically to tell you in Zechariah, he's coming out of the south. That's the tropical warm waters mixing with the cold air from the north, combining and giving you a hurricane, which I think is interesting or tricky, right? Because with everybody, climate change is so dangerous. Hurricanes, look how bad they are. The fact that he was going to come in the shape of a hurricane the way he did when in the book of Job, I'm like, how many people are going to miss that because, climate change is going to put a clamp on them. Anyways, let's see. For behold, the Ishi will come forth out of his place, and he will come down and will tread upon the high places of earth. So all those high places, right? Towers, skyscrapers, hotels, things like that, they're going to be dismantled, right? And the mountains shall be melted under him, and the valley shall be cleft as wax before the fire, and as water that runneth down a steep place. For the wickedness of Jacob is all this, and for the sin of the house of Israel, what is the wickedness of Jacob, you ask? Is it not Samaria or Samaria? Huh? And what are the high places of Judah? Because you say, hey, what can it be? Judah, he's oppressed right now, right? Hey, he might be, but what if it's the things that he left behind, right? What if it's, I'm just saying, we know there's a history of him ruling in Europe, right? And him being, chased out of those places. But what he had is still left behind in Europe, right? His palaces, his mansions. Really, what's the history behind Buckingham Palace? Because of Lex Will, I now understand when I look at that DNA results and I see those what's those things called, those trace regions, and it says the Iberian Peninsula. That's Judah. So what was left behind in the Iberian Peninsula? What? These things are going to be torn down, right? I mean, that's just how I'm reading it. I mean, and I could be completely wrong, but I don't see how these things are going to stand when these places are filled full of wickedness now. And this is it. This is this is what how the World Economic Forum wants to call it. This is the greatest reset. This will be the greatest reset when the issue comes and does this, right? It's going to make what they've always done look like nothing. And he's going to tell you, I'm not bragging, I'm telling you, the pain is going to look like nothing they could have ever accomplished. Let's see. 6. And I will make Samaria as a heap of stones in the field when a vineyard is planted. Oh my goodness, I can relate to this so bad. So I finally have my own place. I got it last year, and I have some land that I work on when I'm not working on the house to get it up to snuff. And there was something going on with the septic tank. I didn't realize that the septic tank needed to be drained. Right, I was having some plumbing problems, so I was digging, looking for the septic tank, and it was almost as bad. It was almost as bad as digging in the dirt in South Carolina. I'm used, like, I'm from Florida, so Florida, you have sand, you don't have as many rocks to dig through, right? You just have you have a somewhat of a firm ground. South Carolina, it's red clay and it's granite rock, and those granite rocks are massive stones. Sometimes you can dig around them, but other times you got to get, an equipment like a backhoe or something that can dig right through the rock. Well, when I was digging for the septic tank at my house, it was stones everywhere. I'm like, what in the world is this? Was there, like, my imagination started going wild. I'm like, was there something here and it got blasted and just, dust in the wind has covered this up, and I look at this dust and I think it's, dirt? Because it was just everywhere. Like, everywhere you hit the shovel, bam, there's a rock, there's a rock, there's a rock. It was so annoying. But let's see here. So I can relate to that. And I will bring down the stones thereof unto the valley, and will lay her foundations bare. And all her graven things shall be cut into pieces, and all her wages shall be burnt with fire. And I will bring to destruction all her idols, for they were gathered together of the heir of a harlot, and unto the heir of a harlot they shall return. Let's see, verse 8. Wherefore I will lament and howl. I will go stripped and naked. I will make a wailing like the dragons, and a mourning like the ostrich. Now, I don't know what noises the ostrich makes, or dragon, I can't imagine, but I imagine, just the crying of people is bad enough, because I can't put into context what that would sound like. Let's see. Because her wound is just desperate, because it is come even to Judah. It hath touched the gate of my people, even of Jerusalem. Declare it not in Gath. Weep ye not with tears. Now that's weird how it's don't, like, Gath is the one place you don't declare it. That's weird. Weep not with tears. Yeah, that's weird. How else would you weep if you see this destruction? Yeah. Oh, because it's the destruction of right. It's not for you, Israel and Judah, that you should be weeping, because this is the acts of Abraham, right? Tearing up and cutting into pieces the statues. That's why. That's why I wasn't thinking about verse 7, because he's going to cut the pieces of the image, the graven images of all these statues, right? Wherever they can be found, all over. I get it now. That's why, because it's not for you to weep. It's not for you to cry, or you're showing that it's not the Most High you're about. You're about the works of man's hands, right? So I get it now. Oh man, let's see. Where were we? So whatever Gath is, they're gonna have a lot of this stuff too, and or we're gonna be there, right? We're gonna be there. He's gonna say, "Don't weep and don't cry for this stuff when you're there." In the house of dust, sprinkle thyself with dust, and pass away, O thou that dwellest in the beautiful place. Covered with thy shame, she went not forth that dwelt in the confines. The house adjoined shall receive mourning for you, which stood by herself. Now that one, I gotta admit, 11 went over my head. That one, it's one where you gotta sit down and just really think about what's being said. Otherwise, I'm just reading words. But I'll come back to that eventually, I think. For she is become weak unto good that dwelleth in bitterness. For evil is come down from the Ishi unto the gate of Jerusalem. Let's see. Tumult, a tumult of chariots hath astonished the inhabitants of Lachish. Now that's weird, because Lachish was supposed to have been destroyed by Babylon or Assyria. I think it was, one of them was supposed to have destroyed this place. So that's weird that but a tumult of chariots hath astonished the inhabitants of the place. So I just find that weird, because how could this be about the end times, but yet this place was supposed to be destroyed, and it's still being mentioned in a time where the Most High is now doing the damage, right? If somebody else knows, please comment, because that's just weird. It is the beginning of sin to the daughters of Sion, for in thee were found the crimes of Israel. Oh, maybe I'm reading it wrong. This was the beginning of the downfall of Israel, right? Like this was the first domino, like Christians talk about the millennials, right? There's this millennial, there's this millennial, there's this millennial, within the in the tribulation, right? 7 years of that, but then the 7 years is supposed to be like 1,000 years, right? And earth, in heaven time, they say, right? So the first signs were the first sins were in Lachish, and you could still find the sins that were in Lachish today in Samir or Jerusalem or Samaria. I get it. I was overthinking it. You can still find the same crimes there. Let's see. Wherefore shall she send messengers to the inhabitants of Gath, the house of lying and deceit, or the house of lying, to deceive the king of Israel. Let's see. Okay. Yet will I bring an heir to thee that dwellest in Maresa, even to Odollam shall the glory of the Ishi come. Make thee bald, and be pulled for thy delicate, and be pulled for thy delicate children. Enlarge thy baldness as the eagle, for they are carried into captivity for thee. Now, here's what I thought was interesting. Odollam was the only place I could find that it seemed like it wasn't hidden. Look at this. This Odollam is in. Hold on. It is native to South and Southeast Asia, and to Queensland, Australia. So Odollam, I thought that was it. I thought that was special. That at least that wasn't hidden, where you could find something that connects it to the Bible there. So, weeping and mourning, the judgment against Israel.